Here with Dan Miller, who's going to be stepping into the octagon this coming Saturday night at UFC 158 against the debuting Jordan Young Gun Meehan. And Dan, this will be your second time since cutting down to 170, going back to June of last year in Atlantic City. After all was said and done, how did you feel the cut, and how comfortable you felt in the ring, in the cage with Ricardo Funch that night?
I felt pretty comfortable. The cut wasn't too bad. I made the weight pretty easy. Didn't feel great.
Yeah, no doubt.
For weigh-ins, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't that hard, and this is my second time, and I've learned from that first experience, and it should be a little easier.
What have you been able to see from Jordan Meehan? He has come up through in Canada and fighting for Strikeforce, and this will be his first fight in the UFC. Do you expect that to play a bit of a factor, making that big jump into the octagon for the first time? And although a young fighter, someone that has an extensive resume of 34 pro fights.
He's a tough kid, and I expect good things from him. I want a good fight from him. So I think coming into the octagon for the first time is it's tough. It was my debut. I was nervous and everything, but I was able to get a pretty quick win, and it plays differently on everybody, so you never know.
Sure. In your case, that first time in the octagon, once the fight starts, are you kind of in fight mode at that point? It's kind of the calm before the storm where the nerves can happen, but then in the actual fight, how did you find that situation, if you can go back to that point?
Yeah, and during the fight, it was just like every other fight.
Sure.
Once the ref said fight, it was just like every other fight. I didn't feel any more nervous for that fight than any other fight. But it happened quickly. That was the thing. I think it was the first fight of the night, and we got there. We were running a little late getting there, and they literally had me, okay, you ready, go. And it was like, so it really wasn't any time to kind of sit back and be like, holy, this is my first fight in the UFC. It was like, I got there, we were late getting my hands wrapped, and I literally got 5 minutes to warm up, and we were out the door, and I was fighting, so it was quick.
How in fight week and cutting down to make the weight, does it differ from when you were making 185? Are there certain extra steps you have to take in this case that I'm sure makes it a bit of a more grueling process for you? Is it a big drastic change from when you were just cutting to 185?
It is a change. 185 is pretty easy for me. I didn't have to cut much weight. I was walking at like 95, so by the time I did everything, it was I was 185 pounds. So it's a little different. I have to kind of really watch what I'm eating during camp, and stay diligent about my intake and everything like that. And fight week is I probably have to do another cut or something like that just to kind of get there. But I've been working. Now it's been a year, kind of staying at 170 pounds, and it should be easier.
We know that you were scheduled to fight in Toronto back in September, but of course, your son's health issues. We were just wondering an update on your son. How is he doing after all that you guys went through towards the end of last year?
Actually, it was good news. We had scheduled the transplant in September, and it was worked out fantastic. He's doing really well right now. Progressing and just healthy, and he's doing really well.
Oh, that's fantastic news. Is he going to be watching on Saturday night?
I hope so. It's a little late for him. It's a little late for his bedtime. But we'll see.
That's what the PVR is for, though.
Yeah. My wife will have him up watching the fight. So
there you go. Saturday night, Dan Miller, he returns to the octagon, taking on Jordan Meehan. Catch it at UFC 158.